I have a series of concerns, and the reason why I'm gonna take this a deep breath is because I would like to not have to bring this up at 10:30, but unfortunately, we are where we are. I wanna do it really carefully and clearly, because there's some serious issues, and they are not all the same issue. Some of them were brought up earlier tonight and audience to be heard. So first, let me say something plainly. I fully support free speech. People have the right to their opinions. They can criticize elected officials. They have the right to speak publicly. And even when I disagree on what's being said, doesn't matter. You have the right to say what you want to say. That's not my issue tonight. So the issue that I have, is what happens when private speech, city-paid work, city-approved content, public-facing outreach, redevelopment messaging, and possible contract compliance issues, and some public records stuff all sort of overlap. So I'm going to try to break my concerns down into 5 separate categories, so this doesn't get dismissed as one blended overall personal dispute, because it's not personal. I want to make sure I'm very clear. So first, related to the contract itself, so the procurement process, approval authority, and management oversight. And so with that, it was mentioned earlier that, by I think Mr. King, that, I've brought it up before, that we have a service contract that was renewed with Lotus Mindset on December 17th, 2025. And so I have a question related to that particular contract, because it was previously it was an $85,000 contract, and 1 year later it is a $150,000 contract. So, Mr. Harrison, I just got to ask you, I know that Ms. Sybil is the management lead for both the original contract and the current contract, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And both contracts required that outreach materials, social media, videos, podcasts, and other related content be reviewed and approved by the city before they were released. That's a question.
Are you talking about the material per her contract and her scope of services?
For her scope of services, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And so, what exact approval process was used? Who reviewed that content? And where are those approval records? Do we have those?
I'm not sure what you mean by approval records.
Well,
what would you be referring to? Can you give me an example?
Sure. So if there's outreach materials, or there's social media or videos or podcasts, that the content in those things would be, or at least the overall content would be approved by contract administrator.
Commissioner,
or the scope of work.
Her podcast doesn't have anything to do. Well, you just said podcast,
Right. Well, because we did
doesn't have
pay
anything
for
to
some
do
podcasts.
with the contract that we have with Lotus Mindset.
We did pay for some video content, podcast, call it whatever you want to call it, but they were calling a video series maybe, I don't know, but that scope of work, was that approved?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
You can get back to me on that one. The 2025 contract was advanced basically under your memo to, under your authority as a 1-year contract. And this may actually be a dual question for Mr. Berman as well. So, what procurement method was used? And so where is the written documentation showing whether competition occurred or if it was just waived in general? No RFP.
I'm sorry, would you repeat what your question is?
So what was the procurement process, or how was, if the scope changed so materially that we went from an $85,000 contract annually to a $150,000 contract annually, what procurement method was used, and where is that written documentation showing whether competition occurred or if it was waived?
Well, the procurement method would have gone through our procurement department, and the scope would have been increased in the higher dollar value contract. But I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
Did this one go through the procurement process?
As far as I know.
I would like to see where that, I would like to see where that went through the procurement process this year, or the 2025. I know that, so I want to preface this with, I know I've mentioned to you that in our February 11th meeting, that I had some very specific concerns about how things were being done, and that I was giving you a sort of a heads up that I would like for you to address them privately, so that they didn't have to become the source of additional commentary, or I didn't have to raise it publicly. But I would like to, I'm actually trying to figure out the approval authority, because I have some confusion related to, I know we're supposed to have a procurement workshop, right? And so I have some questions about, specifically about the contracts. And what is the authority, Mr. Berman, for a service contract? And what authority is that? Is that using the same contract? Is that using the same, what's that ordinance that everybody likes to talk about?
Collection is 200? I'd have to look at it. I haven't looked at it in a while.
Is this the one that goes, is this the one that we refer to all the time as, it was like 32 something, I can find it in my files, but the reason why I'm asking this question is because it doesn't appear to me that this has anything to do with construction, and I'm just curious if what we're using to figure out what that authority is.
I'll be happy to get back to you on that.
Okay, I'm gonna. Pretty strongly about this, or else I wouldn't be doing it at 10:30. Skipping the Zoom one for the day. Oh, okay, sorry, section 32.38. So, I think is right.
32.34 and
See if I can find my.
Mr. Berman, we will need you to talk into the microphone when you get to that point.
I have that problem with everyone else here. Now I'm doing it.
I think it's 32.89.
3239.
89.
3239. Subsection D3 you're talking about. The amount is 200,000.
Okay, so it said, but it says, so it says section 3239 must be evidenced in writing by the General Services Director or designee, either stating competitive procedures were followed or they were waived and why. So this, in here it says in this contract, it says purpose is professional consulting services. Just fine. So since this was treated as professional consulting services rather than construction, under exactly what procurement method was it sourced, and where is the written 32.39 compliance of waiver documentation required by section 32.38?
I wasn't involved in this
Okay,
negotiation.
I know, I'm trying to get clarified, because we have this problem a lot of times where we're given an answer, and I understand you're not involved in this at all. I'm trying to get clarification so I can fully understand and say, okay, and that's how it is. Because there's a lot of these contracts that are coming through the line here, and I feel like we need to have just some clarity on what is allowed and ensuring that those boxes are ticked, that we're doing the right thing. Are there any, according to, according to our ordinances, is there a limit? If you said $200,000.
Yeah, the section is 32.39B subsection 2. It says, in addition to the purchases described in subsection 1, the General Services Director or designee has authority to approve all other purchases in an amount less than $200,000 with the concurrence of the city manager. That's the applicable section. That is something the city manager does with the General Services Director.
Okay. And is there a timeline to those contracts? Is it like, can it be a 1 year? Can it be 3 years? Can it be 1 year? Can it
If
be?
it's more than a year, it has to go to the commission.
Okay, thank you. And that goes for any contract, professional services,
That's in the charter.
it's in the charter.
Any contract more than a year has to be approved by the commission.
Thank you. And that applies across the board, because I've had questions related to contracts with the CRA. So anything that happens in the city is duplicated with the CRA, correct?
Generally, yes, I believe they follow that procedure.
So the reason why I'm going through this, and I wanted to make sure I was very clear, because, like I said, what we do matters and how we do it matters. Procedures, processes. So if the city was paying this contractor for this contract, and I'm, this is, you don't have to answer now, Mr. Berman, but I would like to ask this. If the city was paying this contractor for community outreach, redevelopment storytelling, public-facing media, and coordinating messaging, then how exactly did management distinguish between city work product and a supposedly private podcast or media activity that also promoted the same business and discussed city issues? Do we know? How do we define, where do we find that?
It's up to this person who supervises that contract to make sure the contractual terms are being followed and that all everything that was due under the contract, all services are being rendered under the contract.
Perfect, thank you.
And it's a contract that I assume that whether it's Ms. Sybil or Mr. Harrison are monitoring and making sure that they're getting their money's worth, as with every service contract.
Okay.
Their money's worth.
And so if management, so, all right, well, if management knows that, or knew or should have known, that city paid outreach work and private platform activity were overlapping, what is the city's legal position on whether that overlap triggers a duty to review compliance with sections 19, 21, and 22? And I can pull the numbers.
I have absolutely no idea. If you really would like answers to this, if you want to meet with me, I can go
will.
through it with you, or you can give them to me. Call me, I'll write it down. You don't have to give them to me in writing, but right now,
I'm happy to do that.
I'm not sure what overlap there is. I assume that these contracts are crafted in a manner that there is not overlap, or there may be overlap if overlap is desired and is beneficial.
I'm talking about overlap between personal opinion and city outreach.
I don't know if I can legally answer that.
I know,
question.
I'm not, that's, and I will have that meeting with you, because I
Judgment
It's a
question.
judgment question, correct. And I did have this meeting with Mr. Harrison, and I spent 2.5 hours in his office explaining and showing some examples of things that I found concerning that I would like to have addressed. Ultimately, as Mr. Berman has pointed out, that falls on management to rectify and to fix. So that's one. I will follow up with that, but I want to make sure that we are very clear that what it says in this contract so far has been an issue, and personally attacking and posting, like I said, your public opinion is, your private opinion is fine, but when you're purposely promoting the same company that has this contract on the same private podcast, all while bad-mouthing 3 sitting commissioners and promoting new, candidates, and/or bad-mouthing the decisions that are made here as a body, while also hosting elected officials who they do support, who support the narrative that this outreach is supposed to support, and sharing that same message really walks the line, which is exactly what I said to Mr. Harrison, of crossing over into dangerous potential territory for this contract and for us as a city, because it appears to be influencing or attempting to influence the public. So that's part one. Part two. Oh, Lord. Okay. I support financial literacy. It's really important. Everybody is very smart or learns to be smarter with their money. And listen, it doesn't matter if you're 5 or 85, you can always learn something new. Every day's a school day. The issue that I have is we got an email, all of us, about these, and you may have seen on social media, about some of these financial literacy courses that are also part of the scope of work in this contract. Now, as somebody else said, that there's another person involved, and I don't know her. And if she is qualified to teach this, I am all for her to teach this. I've asked Ms. Sybil to provide a syllabus, and I've not yet received it, but also I'd like to find out what due diligence did the city perform to ensure that the person that's going to be leading our financial advocacy, our financial literacy program that we are promoting what due diligence was done before we decided to publicly sponsor and promote this series. Mr. Harrison, do you know what was done?
I just know that the financial literacy has been part of the scope for that company
Okay, thank you.
for some time.
Okay. When I looked up on social media, so on social media, the posts that have come out and about are related to a company called Legacy Financial Firm. And when I looked up Legacy Financial Firm as a legal entity in Sunbiz, I couldn't find anything. So I'm not sure if it's maybe named something differently. I don't know if is it registered, contracted, vetted, or otherwise documented anywhere in the city or CRA file, and if so, what the name is that this person is representing. Secondarily, I do have some friends of mine in insurance and in financial advocacy and banking and mortgages, and there's very specific rules about what you can and cannot do. And so I'm just curious if the city verified the professional background, work history, qualifications to teach on credit, debt, estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and legacy planning before putting the city and CRA name all over the program. Did we do that, Mr. Harrison?
Commissioner Fesik, I don't do every single thing that happens here every day in every department with every 1,000 city employees.
I understand that.
So if you want to really get answers to this, you should come into my office and go through this professionally one by one, and I can bring in anybody that we might need to bring in and get answers to your questions.
And I appreciate that, because I did meet with you on Wednesday, February 11th, and I followed it up with a recap email. The email was timed 12:50 p.m. It was related to parking and also this same thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I
thank
gave you a 4 or 5 page answer on all of that.
Right, and I told you already that about your answer related to parking garage was completely off base. But anyway, this part is the same. This has not been addressed yet, so I just want to make sure we're there. I'm sorry, am I keeping you up?
No, we actually have a rule. that
Okay, I'm almost done.
Meetings are over at 11 o'clock.
I'll ask the
I'll close.
public to please be quiet.
So I'll try to continue. So my concern is that when we are running a program through this, and this is course topics here, I want to make sure that we are protecting ourselves as a city, CRA, by making sure we are doing our due diligence. So I would like some oversight on that. Something that was concerning to me was, again, that Mr. King brought up earlier today, was that he was denied. I remember he was denied some stuff of lease with the CRA, and it was cited that his evictions or other personal issues, lawsuits, et cetera, were the basis for him being denied. That was the CRA, and maybe they operate differently, I'm not sure. But